Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Welcome to tonight's snow edition of the Klown Hour podcast. On tonight's podcast, I should say, we'll be talking about the Australian Open with my favorite tennis correspondent who's making her debut on this video podcast, Janina Reed from the RealzTenisFanz Podcast, as well as the more quarterback news going in the NFL, including possible trades bandied about regarding Deshaun Watson, as well as Carson Wentz, maybe Russell Wilson, and as well as more information to Big Ben's future in Pittsburgh. Will he retire? Will he restructure? Who knows? And last but not least, we're going to get into some more Black History Month throughout, as we've been doing throughout the month of February. So until then, let's get it. Oh, also, please subscribe and get the merch. Please and thank you. Good morning, got to do good evening, wherever it may be. I'm Scott Burks, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Klown Hour podcast, the snowy edition, by the way, getting all the snow here. But anyway, you can find me on Facebook. Just type in the Klown Times in the search window, where you're on laptop, desktop, wherever you are. Just type in the Klown Times, Klown spelled with K, you'll find me there, as well as my sports blog, the Klown Times, so theclowntimes.net, where you can find me making posts and making a total fool of myself trying to make sense of stuff in sports. And as for my co-host, Dwayne Nash at the bottom here, you can catch him on the Yards of HBCU Sports, who raps about all things HBCU sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night on Facebook Live, where he, coach, and the whole posse goes over some good sports topics and everything else. And one last thing, you check out his great work on herosports.com, where he raps about all things FCS sports, especially as it pertains to HBCUs. And one last thing, y'all, well, two last things. Please subscribe, hit the subscribe button at the bottom. It will help us and it'll help you, because you get to notice on what all the cool podcasts that we have cooking up when it pops up in my YouTube channel. And last but not least, get the merch.
The merch.
CafePress.com, search for the Klown Time Sports. I have the web address in the description below, as soon as it's published to YouTube, so you can find me there as well. And so we're going to introduce our guest. Let's get to it. I talked to her a lot on the audio version, but now you can see it for the first time on the video version. So this is my girl here, Janina Reed from RealzTenisFanz Podcast on YouTube. It's a great podcast. You can find it there. You can find her cracking up with the crew, like going to all things tennis from a melanated point of view. So Janina, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's good to be back. I'm ready to bust some balls. Let's roll. I get two of you this time.
Yes, you do.
Ready.
Speaking of balls to be busted, let's talk about the Australian Open. First of all, before we get into it, just one quick thing, Janina. Tell the viewers about your journey into covering tennis, and just tell us how you got started with the podcast right quick, and what led you to this point before we get into it.
So I started watching tennis when I was a little girl. Grew up really poor, didn't have cable TV. And every summer Wimbledon was on, and it was the only channel that I could get. So I watched it. And I got to grow up with Serena and Venus, and I taught myself the game and the scoring. I remember thinking, like, love, what is love? What's all this love talk? And I grew up watching it. As far as my podcast, the podcast was a little bit new when I literally invited myself on. Because I said,
come on, hey, let me in, guys.
I was like, I did it. One of the co-hosts I knew and had talked to on Twitter for years, but the guy that started it, Reels, I didn't know him, but I'm listening to him and I'm like, listen, I got some shit to say. Let me on. He's like, all right. And I just never left.
Nice.
And that was 7 years ago.
Wow. So they couldn't get rid of your ass, huh? Like, God,
I had a strange feeling
back
coaching,
again.
and Lou would say the same thing about me. Yeah, that sounds very familiar. God.
Yeah, that's why it's like, oh, God damn it, she back again. Might as well keep her ass on. But that's awesome. I mean, again, you guys got a great podcast, and we also have fun just chopping up like on the audio version of the podcast before, so we're going to get this now. Australian. All right. So
All
before
right.
we get to the nitty and the gritty, let's talk tonight's matchups. We're going to start with the Final Four and work backwards a little bit. We're going to start with the ladies, all right?
Okay.
So we got what everyone's going to be watching. No one's going to give a damn two damns about the second matchup. It's like the undercard. So we're going to get to the main event. Naomi Osaka, Serena Williams. GOAT versus superstar, maybe a rising, the next big thing in tennis. We all know that people know that Serena Williams is Osaka's idol. She said it many times, Naomi has, and Naomi has gotten the better of her recently. So coming to tonight's match, Janina, what should we look for?
So we need to look for nerves, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
The head-to-head is 2-1 Osaka.
Okay.
Two of those matches have been full of controversy.
Right.
And it seems like when they play, there's clearly some kind of trigger with Serena, especially. I think we need to look for both of them to come out strong. Serena right now looks better than we have seen her look in years. This bodysuit that she's wearing, she's like, I am fit as fuck. Look at me. And she looks good. Her arms are like just, wow. We haven't seen these arms on Serena in about 5 years.
She's almost 40 and looks great.
Yeah, she looks amazing. Osaka is playing really well. She's been challenged a little bit. I think if I don't know what's going to happen. We want to look for strong serving from both of them, pay close attention to who wins the second serve points. That's what wins matches in tennis. It's who wins the most second serve points. They both have phenomenal serves. So whereas that may carry them through their service games, it's not if they were playing anyone else other than each other, that would be a huge factor. But if they're both serving well, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I think there's just going to be a lot of nerves, and who's going to keep this moment under control. Serena wants this. Serena wants this much more than Osaka wants it, I'm sure. She wants to get this Margaret Court bullshit off her back. I want to see her do it. But she's been in lots of finals and she can't close it out. And that's got to be weighing on her. It's got to be weighing on her.
I'm sorry. I mean, because I was going to ask, is this more mental?
It's totally mental.
Yeah.
It is totally mental. However, Naomi Osaka is an amazing player. She's got 3 Grand Slams under her belt. She's got the confidence of having beat Serena twice in finals. So, it's going to be interesting. I really think it's going to be about who controls their emotions better tonight. I hope it's Serena. I want it to be Serena. Osaka has time. She has so much time. We are watching Serena come to the end of her career. I don't want to see her continue to get to finals, even though this isn't a final, it feels like one. I don't want to see her continue to get there and not be able to close the deal. So it's going to be about the emotions tonight.
Is it fair to say that the winner of tonight's, and we totally disrespected the other semifinal matchup, right?
Just disregarding
I promise we'll get to that. I promise we'll mention that. But is it
before you even say it, yes, the winner of this match is the winner of the tournament. Unless we get a nervous Serena in that damn final again.
Well, speaking of the other semifinal, I might as well bring it up. 2 surprises. Muchova, I'm gonna butcher their last name. So Muchova and Brady, one of the American 22nd seed Brady, the 25th seed Muchova. I mean, they took interesting journeys to get there, to get to this point, right? I mean,
so Carolina Muchova, we can call her that so that you feel good about it. She's a Czech player. Clearly she's good. She's beaten some talent on her way. Mm-hmm. Yesterday she took out Ash Barty, the number 1 seed, who has been playing phenomenal tennis. She's taken out the number 6 seed, Carolina Pliskova, who was, in the talk for title contention. Number 18, Elise Mertens, who's been playing really good, solid tennis. So yeah, I mean, she's not had an easy path to get to the semifinal. I won't be surprised if she wins. Jennifer Brady is a feisty little American. I don't know if she's going to be able to handle the moment. Again, it's going to be a lot of nerves because this is both new for them. So, who's going to come out on top? I kind of feel like it might be Muchova. She is just playing fearless, solid tennis. But, I don't think the winner comes out of that side. Not even close. If it's Osaka, for sure, but.
Right. I was thinking, I was going to say, Brady, she's pretty young, isn't she?
Yeah, she's young. She's just out of college, just maybe still in college.
Oh, okay.
I don't follow the American women too closely because they tend to be all MAGA bitches, and I'm not on that train.
Can you care to elaborate on that, por favor? I know about Coco Vandeweghe, but please elaborate.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is with white American tennis players. They are so far up someone's ass, and I just can't be bothered with them. So I don't
want to go ahead and guess that it's because they come from a particular economic bracket, and if you're in that economic bracket, stereotypically you're of a particular party politically, and if that's the case, for those that pick party over politics or policy, I can see why that's the case. It's sad though, but
it is sad.
Well,
she is a good young talent, but I'm not that interested.
Well, we both say that. What's his name? John Eisner. We always talk about John Eisner, Dwayne, because he's from Greensboro. He grew up not too far from where I grew up. And we always say that because we mentioned the whole right wing stuff. He sticks it to my craw the most because he was one of the ones who was very vocal when Kaepernick took a knee.
He's vocal about everything that he shouldn't be vocal about.
Yeah.
He's the person that you really should say shut up and dribble to, because nobody wants just no. Shut the fuck up, John.
He hadn't won shit, so there you go. I mean,
he didn't show up in Australia.
Oh, really?
I don't really know why, but he didn't.
Oh, well, go figure that. Well, not that he would have won shit.
He's not missed.
There you go. I love the savagery. So let's go back to Serena for a minute. You mentioned Margaret Court, and for many people out there, hardcore tennis fans know who Margaret Court is, but it's a kind of controversial, if you will, because I'm 47, so I remember when Steffi Graf was chasing the record before. And as well as if you go back to Martina Navratilova,
sure,
and everybody else. I mean, we talked about the open era,
right?
As well as the 60s or some shit like that. The open era taking place, so people tend to measure against that. It seems like more so now with Serena than with Steffi Graf, if I'm remembering correctly. I didn't even recall hearing much about Margaret Court when Steffi Graf was chasing.
Of course not. Not the young, innocent white German woman. Stop it. Stop being so silly, Scott.
Well, Janina, you basically answered the question that I was going to ask. Because I find it weird when the conversation about GOATs come up in sports. And everyone talks about Mike and his 6 rings, and Mike, of course, only has 6 in comparison to a lot of other NBA players and a lot of other NBA greats that have as many, if not more, than Michael. But there seems to be this huge pressure on Serena to top that record. And I was going to ask, from your perspective, because I know, of course, you can't speak from Serena's, why is that the case?
Well, let's be very clear that tennis doesn't love Serena or Venus.
Yeah. Right.
Period. They showed up on the tennis scene playing a different brand of tennis and kicking everybody's asses. They're not loved. They're good and they're Black and they're women, right? So you didn't hear about Margaret Court because there's nothing to talk about. Her career isn't really that phenomenal. The truth is she won 11 billion Australian Opens when nobody was going to Australia to play. The Australian Open has been a Grand Slam for a long time, but players used to skip it regularly. So the competition was very, very weak because people just didn't want to make that trip. So she racked up all these titles. So when Steffi Graf got her 18 or whatever it was, you know, she's a white woman. So she did the damn thing. You couldn't deny her dominance. But when Serena passed up Steffi, you know, we got to raise the bar. We can't let her truly be the leader, this Black woman in a white racist sport. So that's why you hear about Margaret Court. Nobody gives a fuck about homophobic, crazy right-wing Christian lady Margaret Court. I honestly can't believe they still have a court named after her, because this woman is, whoo, she's out there. She is really, really out there.
So wait a minute, court? Is that what you're telling me? It's court?
It's Margaret Court Arena.
Oh, okay, good. At least it's Margaret Court Arena. Like, Margaret
Not
Court.
It's not court, but you know, I mean, that is it. It's just the fact that we cannot celebrate a Black woman or a Black athlete for just being an athlete.
Right.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, but it was like you said earlier, based upon, okay, and I guess I'll go ahead and I'll attack the elephant in the room now, since we're here. Before doing the show tonight, I watched one of the I'm not going to name the network. We already know what the network is. It's a pretty big sports network, but I digress. They did a documentary tonight on the 2018 US Open. And based upon what you said, and for those that are familiar, because I wasn't necessarily familiar with the controversy before watching it tonight, and I understand why it's so huge, right? And I'll allow you to address it when I'm done asking the question. But like you said, for whatever reason, whenever Serena faces Osaka, it seems to be a lot of nerves there, and it was heavy during that match. And it seemed like, of course, well, not a scene, but of course, there were a lot of other factors there that caused Serena to be emotional during that particular match. With one of those potentially being one of those factors potentially being able to surpass that record, I'm just trying to figure out, why is it that Serena now is so easily rattled?
She's not. Okay, so here's the thing. Several times when she's been at that threshold of getting to 24, it's been at the US Open.
Oh,
the US Open historically treats Serena Williams like shit.
As I saw, yeah.
So that moment that you're referring to with Osaka is more dramatic because of the moment a few years before with Kim Clijsters. So it's just like the US Open as a whole for her is a trigger. You know, she's never been celebrated in America the way that she should be. Yeah. It is a damn shame. I was at Cincinnati the first time Serena ever won there, and it's crazy that it was the first time because it wasn't that long ago, but she doesn't always play there. She gets like, you know, mysterious toe injuries to go to weddings and stuff, and she pulls out. But I saw her win, and they have a champions balcony there, similar to something you'd see at Wimbledon. So after they win, they go up on this balcony and come out with the trophy and kind of wave to the crowd. Serena won that year and Federer won that year. Yes, it's Federer. I get it. But you have a legend in front of you, Serena Williams, your countrywoman. You get to see her at the end of her career do something for the first time. That crowd was sparse.
Wow.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? The first time that I ever sat in a Serena Williams press conference, I thought, I got to get there early. There's not going to be any seats. Crickets. Not a lot of people there. People are afraid to talk to her. I mean, it is wild how she is treated. She has 7 Australian Open titles, I believe. They love her there. They treat her like the queen that she is in Australia. She does not get that love in America. So back to your point, Dwayne, you know, the whole, it's a lot to do with Osaka and the history of shitty things that have happened while they've played, but it really has more to do with historically just crap treatment of her at the US Open.
Yeah, and they most definitely addressed it there in the documentary. And you're right. That entire situation from 2004 to 2008, I think it was 2009, and then again in 2014, and then of course for it to happen again in 2018.
I mean, I don't care what anybody ever says. I don't give a fuck if Roger Federer has a foot fault on an important point. It's not getting called. It's not.
But I would say this though, the way that documentary went, it made it a situation where both sides, they tried to make both sides look dirty on that. But at the same time, tried to clean up both sides as well. So I walked away still impartial based upon what I saw. Because I'm like, okay, I can see both sides on why it went down. But at the same time, I saw how both sides could have done a better job of controlling themselves.
But you know what's even more jacked up about that whole situation was the fines that were involved.
There were fines involved?
Oh, yeah, Dwayne. So,
oh my God.
Let me give you some perspective here.
Oh my God.
Serena was fined over $80,000 when it was all said and done for that "I'm going to shove this fucking ball down your throat" comment. Okay. That is the highest fine that any player at that time, and maybe still today, has ever received. Ever. One of the Bryan brothers, the famous American doubles players, actually put their hands on a line judge in anger and was fined $10,000. You don't know about it. We don't talk about it. It wasn't in the press. Why? Because these are America's golden twins with all the titles, and they're white boys.
Oh my God. They showed a clip of Jimmy Connors calling her up. They said that basically it should have been an abortion. I'm like, wait a minute.
And then there's John McEnroe. Then there's John McEnroe too. They shit on McEnroe too, but not like, yeah.
But Jimmy Connors legit said that dude should have been an abortion. And Serena basically said
this story.
that
I love it.
A liar and a cheat, and he stole a point from her. This is insane. Now, once again, I understand that it's difference between ump to ump, and you would have hoped that an umpire would have handled that situation the way that this ump would have handled that one, or that maybe this dude would have handled that situation a lot better. But oh my God, dude, an abortion? As funny as that is, I'm like, yo,
that's incredibly fucked up. I shouldn't laugh so much.
Well, I'll say
you can't beat that with dude.
And you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, Dwayne, because I know it's a big tennis match going at 10. I'll try to get you out of here, Janina, I promise. But anyway, we also normally talk about Dwayne. What we tend to veer off into is speaking of American tennis, talking about Black American players as it pertains to U.S. tennis, or the organization, right? So you have Francis Tiafoe, who's from D.C., who's from your neck of the woods in D.C. You have Townsend, I forget her first name. Taylor Townsend. Which is
she's pregnant. We're not going to see her for a while.
Oh, okay. Well, congrats to her. But she's been through some shitty stuff too. That you shared with me in the past. Besides the Williams sisters, okay.
So you have Coco.
Coco Gauff. Yeah, Coco Gauff.
The young girl, and she's doing really well. And guess who she trains with? She goes to Patrick Martagalou's academy in France, who is Serena Williams.
Ms. Williams' coach. Yeah.
She's not a part of that USTA shit mill.
Yeah.
And she's doing well.
That was something they did talk about during the documentary as well, how the Williamses did not want to deal with USTA and all of that. And of course they interviewed Patrick during the documentary as well. And he seemed a little aloof in terms of how he talked about the coaching incident. I'm like, yo, dude, I need you to clean this up better, dude. I mean, I understand it's 3 years ago, but still, dude, come on, man. Just make it look better than what you're making it look.
You know what? The problem is, so really because of that incident, coaching is now allowed, but not at Grand Slams, because everybody does it. Everybody does it.
Yes.
Everybody does it. There was a player, was it oh God, was it Muchova? I don't know who it was. I don't want to lie. But the other day, she comes out for the warm up and she's literally throwing a fit because she doesn't have a direct line of sight to her coach and telling the chair to tell her coach to move. You don't need a direct line of sight to your coach because they're not allowed to coach you. And the chair umpire told her coach to move. I mean, like, it's so incredibly fucked up. It's a mess.
Oh my
So
God.
what they really need to do in tennis is just allow the coaching, because it happens and they don't call it consistently. If they called it consistently every single time, then it wouldn't be an issue. But they don't. So just let it happen because everyone does it.
And that's what this one ump said that was interviewed. What is it? What do they call, like a gold star?
A gold star. That's like the best of the best chair umpires.
Yeah, so he was one of those guys, right? And he basically talked about the total of matches that he has judged or has umped, and it was over 4,000. He said that he called coaching maybe 25 to 50 times throughout all of those matches that he's been involved in. And he says, yes, it happens often. The thing is, it's rarely called. Now, by the letter of the law, yes, if he felt that way and he saw something, he should have called it. But like you said, it happens so often that no one thinks twice about it. But yeah, that dude, from what they said in the doc, he has a history. Yeah.
Patrick Martoglu?
Yeah. No, not Martoglu. The chair.
The chair.
What's his name? Gomez. It's Pablo something. I can't remember what his last name is. But yeah, that dude.
You know what? I should know. Carlos Ramos. Isn't that who was in the chair for that?
It was Ramos.
Ramos.
It was Ramos.
He's notoriously he picks on players.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
They pointed that out. Yeah.
They did point that out. He finds players and he picks on them. He definitely does.
I mean, he's a small, demure man. I'm just saying.
Napoleon complex, maybe
he wanted to be a tennis player and he couldn't succeed. So
actually, they said he wanted to be a soccer player and didn't succeed.
Oh, we've got plenty of little soccer players. He should have worked harder.
Well, that was the thing. He should have worked harder, right? And yeah, he stumbled his way onto tennis. But yeah, what are you gonna do to me? He'll come to DC. I thought that very seriously, but I digress. It is what it is.
Well, right quick. I bring up the black tech players, and I'm glad we had this discussion. Having this discussion is because it seems like we see a theme, an obvious theme. But the point is this: I think Coco is going to be a star. Hell, she might even be a superstar where it's said is done. I mean, she's only 16 years old and gets some love. I mean, you see a lot of these famous black tennis players, these stars, American stars. You would think that, and Janina, you and I talk about this all the time. I mean, you would think that USTA has learned their lesson with the Williams sisters, as far as shunning them, if you will, because they're self-taught. And to your point earlier, they played a different brand style tennis that's never been seen. They're from the hood, crushing a rich ass sport, so they're not embraced, obviously. So I say all to say this: when will USTA? I'm banging on the table, you don't see me, but when will USTA fully embrace the young black stars in terms of nurturing them? Not. And because the Williams sisters, they're legendary. They won't claim, they won't give any love to USTA, and rightfully so. Same with Coco Gauff, perhaps. Maybe if Sloane Stephens gets her shit together, maybe. No. I'm not too sure about Madison. I forget her last name, but the point is, Keys. But the point is USTA, the USTA is missing out on a lot. There's not an American star, a male star. There may be a few notable names on the women's side, but they're mostly international as far as the big names outside the Williams sisters and Coco. But
I don't think they will. I don't think they will. The USTA as a whole is a mess. Leadership is changing far too often. And tennis is so small, they just recycle people in roles. And they need to bring in new people. And they don't, because tennis is tiny. To be a global sport, It is really, really small as far as who runs it and who's involved at the top levels. So I don't see it happening. In the history of the way that the USTA treats a certain population of players, why would they want to be a part of that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I know I'm promise you I would get you situated.
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay. I'm just saying, because I could talk to you for hours. I could talk to you for hours about this shit. But anyway, I know you want to touch upon the men's side, so let's get to that right quick. Your boy Novak Djokovic. I like him. You don't like him that much.
What do you like about him? The hell? You like his temper tantrum?
He has a swag. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's called swag. I mean, he says what the hell he wants. He does whatever the hell he wants. He's like this. He's like this to the umpires. He speaks his mind. He talks shit. I mean, look, he cracks me up. He personally cracks me the hell up.
Right now?
Yeah. So what?
Can you shut him off, Dwayne?
No,
I cannot. I wish I could.
He's hating on Novak again.
Listen,
I can't believe you.
No, because I don't know this player that you're talking about. Like, I have no idea who this is. He does. Listen,
cool, swagger-filled the dude.
If Novak Djokovic would embrace his villainous that he is,
he's a villain.
I would, but he doesn't embrace that. He wants to be loved.
He wants to be like a LeBron. Oh, okay.
He wants people to love him like they love Rafa, like they love Federer. They don't. He doesn't even sell tickets. That's the truth.
Right.
He's not a big ticket salesperson. So no. I think if that's the player that you want to love, you should get on the Russian train with Daniil Medvedev, because he is the one that says "fuck you" to the crowd and
yes,
talks all the shit. And he's, you know what? He's backing it up. I picked him to win this tournament.
He's in the semifinals. Yeah, he's in the semifinals.
Yeah, because we have a so-called injured Novak who, wanted to on court after his Taylor Fritz match. He actually said, "I have a torn abdominal muscle. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play against Milos Raonic." Bitch, you ain't got no torn abdominal muscle. People with torn muscles don't play sports. They rest. They heal. But there he was. He comes back and he plays Milos and he throws his little fucking fits and he wins in 4. But he's got ripped muscles. So he wins that match. then he plays, then he plays
his take. This is the best.
I told you, Savage. I told you, that's why I love her. But go ahead, Janina.
Then he goes on to play Alexander Zverev, and he's injured and he's not playing well, and it hurts. And Zverev usually plays him tough. He's the number 6 seed, but Zverev is a choker. He should have won. But they had, I don't know, was it his match with Zverev that he threw the temper tantrum on court? I think he had a bad point. Yeah, he broke his racket.
Yeah, I saw that.
Shit out of the court so bad that he damaged the court. They had to come sweep that shit up. Let me tell you, if that was Serena, she'd have been defaulted.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
But Novak is Novak, and he throws temper tantrums. Oh my God, did you see the fan yell out to Novak on the changeover, "Go Rafa"?
Are you serious? That really happened?
I swear to God. Oh, it was great. And this is what he did. I'm so glad we're on camera, because I want to do this on my podcast, do the faces, and I can't. So some fans "Go Rafa," and Novak went. He literally looked at the fan and went.
He's a villain. Yes. That's why I agree with you, Janina. Embrace your villainous side, bro. You wear the black hat. Wear that shit and own it.
But then there was the woman in Rafa's match who actually called him an OCD fuck and flipped him off. She actually ended up getting escorted out. I mean, I enjoyed that just as much.
Speaking of
the Australian Open has been off the hook.
Well, let me ask you this right quick before we wrap this segment up. They're allowing crowds back, right? So are they allowed? What capacity? What percentage capacity?
50% capacity. I don't really know what that 5-day lockdown was supposed to do. They only had 19 active cases of COVID. But here's the thing: Australia had none. So, you know, Novak is all pissed off about this hard quarantine bubble, and he wants to have like you don't get to have a global sport in an NBA type bubble. That'll never work.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
But that's, you know, he's blaming all of these injuries on the quarantine. No, boo, you were off for a year and you didn't do shit. So probably train harder and be ready. I mean, that's my take. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of injuries because people haven't been playing and training. Maybe they didn't utilize their time like Serena did and come back with this banging ass body. You know, they do better because Milos Raonic from Canada, he's looking a little fat right now.
Little James Harden-ish.
Yes. So anyways, you know, Novak wants this bubble, and he's saying that if there's going to be a hard quarantine like there was in Australia, that maybe the entire season should be canceled because players aren't going to want to do this. And I'm just like, Novak, shut up. Just shut up. This is the man who at the beginning of a COVID had the Adria tour where they traveled from country to country to country in the Serbia area, and all these players got COVID, including him. But they did no social distancing. They did nothing. But Australia has honestly managed to pretty much eradicate COVID because the people there wear masks and listen and do what they're told. And, you know, like the lockdown was real. There was no fast food open. There was no delivery. They didn't do things like we do here in America. And so it worked. And they're healthy. So they had this 5-day lockdown, and they're going to allow fans back again starting tonight. The lockdown was over midnight last night.
That's cool.
And it's a 50% capacity. And I don't know if that's total like everywhere or if that's 50% on one stadium. And they didn't explain that very well, but it should be good for Serena and Osaka. It should be nice and electric and fun.
Yes, that'd be cool. That would be very
because
cool.
I was getting really tired of the fake applause. They were doing that.
Oh, really?
Oh, they were doing
like they did in the NBA and NFL.
The recording
crowd noise, manufactured crowd noise. The game
so bad. So bad.
Let's close this segment, I should say, out on this. Because we were remiss, I didn't bring up your other favorite player, my guy, Rafael Nadal.
Oh, please, let's
coming
talk about
from
Rafa.
2 sets of head, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Coming from the head.
Did you see it?
Yes, it was sad. It was very sad. How are you up two games to none, and just blow the other 3 games?
I mean, didn't you know that
the third set in the tiebreak, right? Got his ass kicked in the 4th set, and then ran out of gas in the final set. I was so.
He didn't run out of gas. Let's be clear. Rafa doesn't run out of gas. Rafa is a machine. But Rafa Rafa supposedly is injured as well. He's carrying this back injury. Can't you tell? Because he's not moving well. He's not like running all over like he typically does. Don't say yes, he is. He's fine.
He's fine too, as you can see. But go ahead. Go ahead, sis.
Stefanos Tsitsipas, the young
Greek,
beautiful Greek fella that he is.
Beautiful. Okay.
He kind of is, but that's okay.
Lord.
It doesn't translate well on court, but you see him in person and he's pretty.
Oh, Lord.
But he wasn't playing well.
Okay.
He wasn't playing well at the beginning, and he really raised his level. He tends to play the top guys really hard. He's got wins over Novak. He's got wins over Federer. You know, he's good. I think he's I don't remember what seed he is for this tournament, but you know, he's in the top 10. And he just raised his level. He is gonna be he's 21 or 22.
He's a young man.
You know, he's young. Yeah. And he's good. He's good. And he's got that pretty one-handed Federer-esque backhand. And he didn't, I don't think Rafa went away. I think Stefanos upped his level and Rafa didn't maybe know what to do with it. It certainly wasn't that non-existent back injury, but it was a good match. I mean, I watched it. I had to be at work, but I set my phone up and I put it in the corner and I'm streaming.
You play hooky.
Listen, I had to see it because honestly, I didn't think he was going to do it. It's Rafa. You know, it's Rafa in a Grand Slam. So no, I didn't think he was going to do it, but he did. And I'm happy for him. I'm tired of watching Rafa and Roger and Novak win all the big matches. These young guns need to step it up,
Yeah.
do better. You cannot be losing in finals to the 40-year-old.
Speaking of which, where's Roger these days? Where's he up to?
So Roger had knee surgery over quarantine.
Okay.
And he could have, so he said he could have played here in Australia, but the travel restrictions were tough. And Federer does not travel without his family, period.
Sure.
So that wasn't going to be a possibility, the wife and the 2 sets of twins and everybody else. So that was kind of like, yeah, no, not going. But then he said later that he isn't coming back until he feels 100% he will not play a match. And he said his knee's not better. But, Rafa's the one that had the bad knees all those years.
Right.
And Federer somehow is the one that's had 2 knee surgeries. I don't really know how that works, but Rafa has all these injuries that explain away losses that are so non-existent.
What do you mean, Janina? He's playing through these injuries. He's
getting it through. He's tough.
No,
He's
yes,
tough
that
guy.
warrior narrative
guy.
never dies. Does it?
Yeah.
Never.
Oh my God. And it goes from sport to sport I see, and hey, it makes tough guys out of everybody.
Yeah. Well, did you see Venus Williams? She got injured early in her match.
Yeah.
She toughed it out. She did not retire because she doesn't do that. And then you've got dickhead John McEnroe going, I don't know why these other people don't tough it out, because there were 2 walkovers in a night. I don't remember who, but I woke up and it was like there was no tennis that had been played overnight because people didn't play because they were injured or they had injuries and they pulled out or retired during their match. And you've got, listen, if you're injured, you shouldn't play. Don't do that to your body.
Right.
Just don't. And John McEnroe, oh, why don't they tough it out like Venus? Because he's an idiot.
Come serve your ass like John McEnroe. That lyric from House of Pain, lovely. No reason to love McEnroe. But anyway, I'll let you get you go.
Well, wait, we do need to talk about one person.
Oh yes, sure. Yes, go ahead. Okay.
You had asked me, are there any surprises? We do actually have a Cinderella story of this tournament. And it is a young Russian. You know what? He's not that young. I want to call him young because we don't know who he is, but he's 27. His name is Aslan. Oh God, Karatsev.
Okay.
So he, there was a tournament before the Australian Open started called the ATP Cup, and it's actually like designed to be a team event. So he played with Andrei Rublev and Daniil Medvedev, the big Russian stars right now. And they actually called him, he played doubles for them. Okay. The format's similar to Davis Cup. You got singles matches, doubles matches, whoever wins the most matches wins and moves on, right? So he won both of his doubles matches. He's never played in a Grand Slam. He went through qualifying. And I don't know if you guys are aware of how qualifying worked. It was really weird. It didn't happen in Australia this year because of the hard quarantine. They actually did. So he's been playing technically for like 5 weeks now for the Australian Open because qualifying was so jacked up, and it was like in Doha or Dubai. It wasn't even in Australia because they weren't letting players in yet.
Sure.
And so he went through qualifying. He won all those matches. He gets to the main draw. This is his first main draw appearance ever in his entire career. He has never won or even played in a main draw Grand Slam. And he has beaten Grigor Dimitrov, the number 18 seed. He beat the young Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime, the young black guy that we all want to love so bad, but he just keeps choking.
What's the name again? I missed that.
Don't make me say that again.
Scott, you dirty.
We're gonna call him. We're gonna call him FAA.
FAA. Not the flight administration.
He beat Diego Schwartzman, who I thought for sure he would lose to because he's just this feisty little Argentinian who he'll just run you down. He'll get every ball back and run you down. So like he's got Novak next, the injured Novak, so he should definitely take advantage of that abdominal strain. And you know what? I'll give him the strain. I think he probably has a strain. He definitely doesn't have a tear. Although he did have an MRI, he doesn't want to talk about the results. Whatever.
I don't want to talk about the results. Yeah, I like those.
Listen, this is the same man who thinks that he can play tennis through telekinesis.
Oh, he's an X-Men. Oh, man, listen. You didn't say that. You didn't tell me he was, man.
Wolverine.
Oh
back in the tennis court.
Telekinesis? Man, he's out here.
Oh, man.
He said that. I'm not making that up. So, yeah, he's our Cinderella story, and I'm excited to see, what happens with that. It'll be fun.
Well, we'll see. So, I'm gonna have your ass back on next week because I know by the time I know the World Finals will be over the weekend, but just to hear you talk shit, it's great. It's fucking great. I love you. I love the sister. So
I love being here.
Yes. So we'll get you out here 4 minutes before the start of the.
You better hope that shit hasn't started yet.
I know, right? You can see I'll go up to the camera and whoop my ass.
Hey, I did what I could. I did what I could. I kept my questions as succinct as possible.
Oh my! Anyway, y'all check her out on RealzTenisFanz Podcast on YouTube. Can you tell the viewers, Janina, when you guys produce podcasts?
Listen, we're Black. We do it when we want. We say we're gonna have live shows and we're always fucking late. But honest to God, this year we have not been regular because it's hard to talk about sports when this is what's going on, when we're in the middle of a pandemic, when our country is falling apart. We've ignored it. We actually just did our first podcast of the year last weekend because we're like, no, I don't want to talk about tennis right now.
Right.
But if you're a Harry Potter fan, we did a quarantine special. And I gotta say that it is fucking amazing. And you have never discussed Harry Potter like this ever. So check it out. Check that out.
Well, next time do a Game of Thrones podcast.
Ooh, you want to do one?
I would love to do one in the future.
Let's do it.
Well, I think that'll be one of the ones I have to sit out. I admittedly said to Scott, I have never watched the series at all. Yes, your side.
Aren't you disappointed as I am?
I think, Dwayne, if you give it 4 episodes, you will be hooked.
Yeah.
So I've heard. So right now I'm in the process of playing catch up, of course, on WandaVision, and I'm taking advice, whatever, on what I should watch next. And I'll go ahead. I guess I'll crank that out. You know what?
No, my wife
I already
watched
watched Pornhub. Why do I need to go and watch Bridgerton?
Because I burn for you.
Well, I'll watch Bridgerton now to find out what that means.
No, please don't. Please don't.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry. A woman whispers in my ear, dude. Duh. I'm following through whatever that was.
Oh my God. At any rate, on that note, all right, Janina, we'll have you on next week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Janina.
Having me.
We'll holler at you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Big thanks to my homie, Janina Reed from RealzTenisFanz Podcast. Please check out on YouTube. It was great. I love having her on, especially on the audio version, and the video version just made it that much better. So
that much better,
it was awesome as fuck. So I just leave it at that. So let's get to the NFL. So quarterback news. Some more.
Yes.
This next edition of the NFL becoming the NBA part 1,000. In terms of trades, like quarterbacks won't be able to move. We already mentioned, what happened with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff the previous 2 weeks. Ongoing with Deshaun Watson, won the hell out of Houston. Houston doing some Houston, Texans things, like firing J.J. Watt, which probably going to be to his betterment anyway, and also getting rid of the equipment manager who said to be Deshaun Watson's boy.
Yeah.
Why are you going to keep antagonizing? You might as well trade him. So meanwhile, you got this latest rumor that the Carolina Panthers are making a push for him. They want to trade not only 3 first rounders for him, but they also will be willing to part with Christian McCaffrey, which I don't know about that. Especially, they don't want to be bereft of offensive weapons, and I don't think Deshaun wants that. I think he has no trade clause for that specific reason. So what do you think about that trade? That trade rumor, if you will. I don't know how true it is. Maybe they're just trying to drive up the price for Deshaun Watson. But
well, either way, and it would have been interesting to have Rashad here this week, the Carolina Panther fan, to talk about this. But I just found it interesting that Carolina is starting to become this front runner in this situation.
Yeah.
And like you said, I heard about the draft picks. I heard Christian McCaffrey's name was attached to it. I also heard that Brian Burns, the young defensive end's name, was potentially attached to it as well.
I don't like that.
Very serious.
I don't like that.
I don't think it's going to be all 5.
Right.
That would be insane, right?
Yeah, I don't like
to do that.
Yeah.
But either way, either mixture, if it's the 3 picks in either or of one of the 2 young players along in that deal, my God, like you said, especially if it's Christian McCaffrey, to go ahead and empty out that talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball, because there is a possibility that they'll be without is it Samuels, the receiver?
Yeah, Chris Samuels.
Yeah, so if Samuels walks out and then you trade away McCaffrey, who's going to be there with Deshaun? And I'll go ahead and say this at least, applause to them, because the front office staff that used to be there, which is sadly enough in DC right now, you guys went ahead and brought Washington into this conversation.
Sure. They
had a hard time in bringing in talented, skilled players, but you just couldn't. Well, I mean, what's your boy's name? Rivera was there when they drafted McCaffrey. Right. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this coaching staff now and this front office does in terms of picking up skill position players anyway, because they're potentially going to need to do that. And then if they get rid of McCaffrey, they're most definitely going to have to do that. Yeah. So I don't know necessarily how I feel about that, but it'll be interesting to see if this becomes a destination for him and what the price will be. But like you said, one of the bigger things that came up in conversation over the weekend as well was, of course, when the Texans got rid of J.J. Watt,
right,
is whether or not this thing could or could not potentially be racial, because of course J.J. wants out.
Right.
J.J. wanted out. Deshaun also wanted out. They're not willing, well, from their perspective, to get rid of J.J. Not J.J., but Deshaun. But they gave J.J. his walking papers.
Right.
And it's possibly because they tried to ship J.J. out in terms of a trade and couldn't find any suitable compensation. So to do right by him, they just went ahead and released him. Right. And there's some people who believe that, maybe there's a racial thing involved in this. And a part of me doesn't want to believe that because of the DeAndre Hopkins situation.
Right.
How they were capable of trading DeAndre away, but not Deshaun. Yeah. So I'm just still trying to figure out what is it that Houston really wants to do in that situation.
I don't know if they know what the fuck they want to do.
And I like the fact they keep saying, you don't know what's going on. But then, dude, tell us what's going on.
Right.
If we don't know, tell us. It's that easy. But I mean, hey, it's your business. It is what it is. And you want to continue to run the organization to the ground. Right. So be it. But yeah, I know the fan base is wondering what's going on. They want to know what's going on. And, and hey, you want to make money? You want them to come and buy tickets? Give out the information so people know what's going on.
Right. And that's the thing. And, look, that's why I know you don't want to fault Deshaun for taking $144 million.
No, I don't.
But I just think hindsight, it would have been easier for him not to take that extension, because it would have been easier for him to get dealt, in my opinion, because he would have had one more year on his contract.
Yeah.
So to me, it would have been easier.
And it would have been the rookie deal. The rookie deal too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's all. But I think Carolina, going back to the Panthers for a minute, I think the Panthers would be stuck on stupid if they traded McCaffrey.
I think so too. Yeah, it's the best way.
And as much as I love Brian Burns too. Mm-hmm. I don't. This is a case where Houston, on paper, shouldn't be in the driver's seat, because everyone knows Deshaun wants out, which means the price, given with the supply and demand thing, should be driven down. It shouldn't be trying to be driven up, because what teams I think are going to risk doing is bidding against themselves. in the end. Now, there are situations like, as we mentioned last week, I think the week before last, San Francisco, he'd be a great fit in San Francisco. He being Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And the Shanahan run offense, what? That
The way that
mobility
he
and those
plays, most definitely,
bootlegs, Lord have mercy. So there, and we mentioned the Jets, we mentioned the Dolphins, more stable situations.
Yeah.
Even the Jets are more stable than the Texans these days. And I like Watson in Carolina. I think they obviously would have to move Bridgewater.
Oh, that was the thing. Of course, they're looking to move Bridgewater.
Yeah.
And of course, with Deshaun being from South Carolina, going to Clemson.
Yeah.
And of course, the assumed thought that the Panthers are looking to continue to expand their fan base in South Carolina, which I'm saying right now, if it's not already there, what's the hold up?
Yeah, what's wrong?
If it's not already there, what's the hold up?
What are they doing?
It's not to say that Deshaun wouldn't help in that, but yeah, if it's not there, what is the hold up? But the one team that was also talked about, I'm surprised you didn't bring them up, of course, is the one team that can't stay out of the media's mouth for long, the Dallas Cowboys. And there's been discussion on if the Cowboys would think about signing Dak and doing a signing trade with Deshaun in the Houston Texans. What are your thoughts on that?
Of course, Jerry Jones would do such a thing, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Jerry Jones would do it because he gets let's be real. As much as I like Dak is not a scrub in this league. He's a damn good quarterback. He is. But he's not Deshaun Watson.
No.
If you put Deshaun Watson, and it depends on how much Dallas will have to give up, but if you put Deshaun Watson with potentially Ezekiel Elliott, should be motivated Ezekiel Elliott, with Amari Cooper, with CeeDee Lamb, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If Jerry Jones lands that, I'm going to go back to the 90s where I will hold my head in sorrow and shame and sadness. Not shame, but sadness. Seeing Dallas win all those damn Super Bowls and just be so good. But
well, I mean, they can't play defense. So if Deshaun plays
defense, they can't play defense, but still, they can outscore you. They can't play defense, they can outscore you. But the point is that they will make Dallas more and more relevant, and I wouldn't like that at all. Nor would you like that at all.
God no.
But let me share something with you right quick. We'll move on to Big Ben. Colin Cowherd, gotta love him. He had a crazy ass trade scenario where the dominoes, as far as the quarterbacks want to be on the move or already on the move. So check this out. I'm gonna read this right quick. I took a screenshot the other day. This is number one. The first domino to fall. The Panthers acquired Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
Domino number two. Texas acquired Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, we get that. Domino number three. The Jets draft Zach Wilson out of BYU. Which means Sam Darnold with number 4 go to the Colts.
Wow, okay.
And number 5, the Bears will acquire Carson Wentz.
Okay.
This Carson Wentz, since the Colts will have their quarterback, and Carson Wentz, that's a destination in Indianapolis where those will go. He'll be in Chicago with the other places. Now check this out. Number 6, the Patriots, they've been interested in him, but they will acquire Marcus Mariota. There's rumors about them going there. And number 7, this is an eyebrow raiser. The Falcons will draft Justin Fields, which means potentially Matt Ryan would be on the move, or maybe have Justin Fields sit behind him a year, which I think he will, which would make sense because Matt Ryan's still playing at a high level. He's just old at this point. Number 8, the Texans, even though they have Teddy Bridgewater, they'll draft Trey Lance out of North Dakota State.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Number 9.
But how would they get that done? Oh,
because they will get that first round pick. Yeah, they'll get Carolina's first round pick, which is in the top 10, I think. Top 10 pick. Top 15. Number 9, the Saints, and we said this before the previous 2 weeks, they will resign Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Which would be a lot better than the other dude that they have, who's Tim Tebow liked. And number 10, believe it or not, the 49ers will retain, since they didn't get Deshaun Watson, they have to retain Jimmy Garoppolo. And last but not least, since the hot room Dallas didn't acquire Deshaun Watson, they will end up re-signing one Dak Prescott. So, as fun as that would be, if even half of those transactions were to take place, would be NBA-esque, because we said last week only this position, the quarterback position, would be NBA-esque in terms of players wanting out and being accommodated, because despite being in the middle of a deal or just signing an extension, because that's a glamour position. That's the most position in sports, most important position in sports. So they have.
I'll say this: how many moves was that? That was 10? 11. 11? Yeah. I can see 5 of those happening. Yeah. But it would be the more boring of those things, right? I can see Dak staying in Dallas. I can see Jimmy staying in San Fran. I can see Carson Wentz being traded and going to either Chicago or to Indianapolis. I don't know how I necessarily feel about Sam Darnold going to Indianapolis. I think that would have to be a situation where it's okay, we didn't get anyone else that we wanted, and he's available, and it doesn't cost us much to get him. I think that'll be the only way that Indianapolis does that, right? And oddly enough, he'll end up becoming like Mark Sanchez when he was in New York, where Sanchez was Sanchez-esque, and they had that great defense, and they had that pretty good running game, and they will continue to win games that way, right? God, what else? There were a couple of other moves that were there. The Jameis Winston staying in New Orleans, I can see that happening. And then there's probably another 1 or 2 there that I can perceive happening. So, yeah, I'm not shocked by a lot of those. It's a couple of those where I'm like, okay. Like, especially the Deshaun to Carolina. That's the one that I don't know if I necessarily see happening yet. But it is what it is.
Yeah, either way, at least half those quarterbacks on Colin Cowell's big board, if you will. Shout out to Mel Copper Jr. I think a lot of those are going to happen, or be on in terms of being on the move. A lot of those quarterbacks are going to be on the move. So this is fun, unprecedented times that we're seeing, man. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be. Let's put it this way: if any of those quarterbacks do not move before the draft, it ain't happening. They're going to stay put. It's going to have to be before the draft, because you should figure that almost all those quarterbacks' movement would be predicated on draft picks. So I think that's why I think if it doesn't take place, if any of those quarterbacks do not move or change addresses before the draft, it's not going to happen. One more thing about quarterbacks. So I mentioned them earlier. Big Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah. Remember I said last week? Was it last week?
Yeah.
When I gave my thoughts on why I as a Steelers fan would hope that my Steelers were ripped off the Band-Aid. The general manager, Kevin Colbert, was pretty lukewarm about his return, his Big Ben's return. He told reporters, this is what he said. This is a quote. Quote, as we sit here today, Ben is a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Today,
yeah. As of today. That tells you, yeah, that meh. But here's more. He reiterated that to us, that he wants to continue to play. And we told him, quite frankly, we have to look at his current situation. Ben's current cap number, some adjustment would have to be made, end of quote. And then to piggyback, the team owner and CEO, Rooney II, he said last month that his cap number, $41.2 million cap hit in 2021 for the 2021 season is unattainable. That tells me I think Ben, out of two things going to have to happen. Either he has to restructure, or he's going to have to retire. One to two R's is going to happen. And if he restructures, that means they're going to push money down the road on the future cap hits. And I don't think they're going to allow that to happen. So I'm going to come out and say it. If he ain't retiring, he's going to get cut. And just take the 22, because because out of the 41 million, 22 will stay on the cap, from what I understand, if he gets cut, because he's doing $19 million roster bonus.
Okay.
Mark. Next month, as a matter of fact.
Mm.
So that's why, either way, he's not going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2021.
Wow.
That's why, that's from reading what both the owner and the GM just said. Remember the GM's his quote, his words, as of today.
Today. Yeah. You know what? That sounds very LA Rams-esque.
Exactly.
About Jared Goff.
That's what it said about Jared Goff. As of today. Yes.
Yeah.
As of today. Yeah. So I think this is it. I think they're realizing that their current team, if they were to run it back, they won't be as good as Cleveland. They won't be as good as Baltimore. They're not beating the Kansas City Chiefs. They're not beating the Indianapolis Colts. They're not beating the Buffalo Bills. Again, Buffalo kicked their ass the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to beat Miami. I think we probably won't beat Tennessee. And I think we're playing the AFC West this year. So basically, not only that we're going to lose to the Chiefs, we probably won't beat I won't beat the Chargers. And depending what happens in Las Vegas, they may give us a run for our money. So, and also one more thing, and I said this last week. I told my Cincinnati homies this every time I talk to them on Twitter. It's when in regards to whether it's a group text or whatever, or a DM or what have you. If Cincinnati were to draft offensive linemen to protect a stud and Joe Burrow, with the talented skill players that they have, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, dude toting the rock out the backfield, forget his name, I'm blanking on it, but he's a damn good young player.
Well, they got Giovanni Bernard back there, and what's the other back that they got back there too?
I forgot.
I forget what his name is too, but I know who you're referring to.
He's damn good. He's a good young running back. They're going to be a problem. Cincinnati's going to be a problem. So, and not only are you looking up at Baltimore and Cleveland, I can't believe I said it out loud about Cleveland, but potentially Cincinnati is going to knock them out of the 3 spot. So they're figuring, in Pittsburgh, they're figuring, well, shit, let's just rip the Band-Aid off anyway, take that albatross of a cap hit, reduce it, and use that to improve the other aspects of the team. Use that to maybe re-sign or restructure Joe Hayden's contract, Steven Nelson's contract, maybe try to re-sign one of the young nickelbacks. Not Cam Sutton, I'm thinking about the other guy. And also, use the compensatory picks to improve the offensive line and draft offensive linemen, draft the running back in the second round, maybe. Trevor Baker out of Oklahoma State. Preferably Travis Etienne is the dream, but
if he falls that far,
if he falls that far in the first round, I say grab him. But this is a deep offensive line draft. So that's why I think, because we already got a defense. So again, get this 86 Big Ben out of the equation. Use the rest of that money to spread around, restructure contracts on defense, keep the young core defense together, improve the offensive line, build around Mason Rudolph. Let's give it a year, see what can this kid do with a talented team around him. If he can't do it, you're probably going to have a high draft pick anyway. You can pick a quarterback. So just stop kicking a can down the road, get the shit over with. What are your thoughts?
This is the same team. Man, I love the sky is falling attitude that you Steelers fans have. I swear, man.
It never ends.
You don't know that the sky is falling until the sky fall on your head, man. I'm telling you, man. Look at all the knots on my head, dude. Look at the knots. Look at the knots, man.
The knots. That's funny.
I'll say this. This is the same team that won, 11, 12 straight?
Right.
Last year, this past season.
First 11 games. Yep. 11-0. Yep.
Yeah, you're welcome. But the two biggest issues, the three biggest issues really are, of course, working on that O-line again, especially with the retirement of Pouncey.
Yeah.
Getting a running back there because they became extremely one-dimensional, especially after week 7 or 8.
Right.
And then trying to figure out the Ben Roethlisberger situation, right? And of course, you can go ahead and re-sign the other guys that you feel as though that you need on the roster too. But those are the biggest three in my eyes. I still feel as though that Ben could probably play for another year. The thing is that he's going to have to restructure that contract and make it friendly.
Big time.
But the way that the front office is starting to sound, I don't know if they're necessarily fans of this. And it seems like they might end up heading in that direction. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see what type of battle is going to be for the quarterback spot between Mason Rudolph and one Dwayne Haskins. It's going to be very interesting, especially if Dwayne is going to be in a situation where he has the O-line in front of him and he has skilled players behind him to play, especially with the defense that to play too. But and also to have a QB coach that believes, in this dude. So if you can get those things with Dwayne right, that might be the thing that reinvigorates his career. But if it's between Dwayne and Mason, yes, they're going to have to get another guy in there. Even if it's I'll go ahead and say that he need to go ahead and bring another vet in there. I don't know who that's going to be and how they do it. Right. But once this QB carousel kind of situates itself, then they'll figure out from there who they need to go ahead and bring in to compete that way if they can't have Big Ben to stay. But yeah, that's the way I see it, man. They have to address those three issues.
They have to, otherwise it's going to be Pittsburgh's at a crossroads, man.
Yeah,
a huge crossroads. It may be an end of an era, but it's a great era. Don't get me wrong, it's a great era. It's a damn good era. 3 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them. But it's all good things come to an end, and that's the way it is in sports. We're gonna cap this off with more Black history in sports. I'll say this. I've been saying this every week, but I'll say it again. This is when throughout Black History Month, as this series continues, we're gonna give you all, the listeners out there, the viewers out there, little known Black history moments in sports, whether it's firsts or moments. So again, not the ones that you already know, not the Hank Aaron's, not the Jackie Robinsons, not the Arthur Ashe even. We had a tennis correspondent earlier, because a lot of people know who Arthur Ashe is. And everything else. But we're going to give you all the nooks and cranny of Black history in sports that people don't know about but should appreciate. So we'll be giving 2 each. So I'm gonna give my 2. D Nice is gonna give his 2 as well. So let's get to it. So my first Black history in sports moment or individual is John Baxter Taylor Jr.
Okay.
Now, who is John Baxter Taylor Jr.? He was the first African American to win an Olympic gold medal. Right? So again, everyone knows who Jesse Owens is in terms of the Olympics in Black history, but they don't know who John Baxter Taylor Jr. is. I didn't know who he was until I researched him. But anyway, he was a member of the U.S. medley relay team at the 1908 Summer Olympics in London. So John Baxter Taylor, first African American to win an Olympic gold medal. That's one of your Black history moments in sports. And another one who you probably have heard of. I've heard about him for years. Some hardcore fans may know who he is. Golf fans, I'll tease it. Golf fans may know who he is. Charlie Sifford. He pretty much like one of the first Black stars on the PGA Tour. He played from 1948 to 1980. And so this is a time where, he like golf, golf is similar to tennis. It's a predominantly white, elitist, rich sport, right? We know this. And he dealt with a lot of racist bullshit way back in the day, as we could well imagine. But basically, he early in his career, Sifford could only compete in tournaments organized by fellow Black golfers, right? So he would compete in those, but eventually, when you compete against your fellow Black golfers, right? Fellow like-minded golfers, you want more. You like saying, hey, look, I'm just as good as I could compete in the PGA Tour. What am I waiting for? So what he did, he attempted to qualify for the 1952 Phoenix Open by using an invitation received from boxer Joe Louis. So basically, Joe Louis got him the hookup. But of course, while he was there, he being Sifford, received death threats.
Of course.
So he continued to play, and he eventually joined the PGA Tour in 1961. So he went on to play in 422 tournaments with 51 top 10 finishes.
Wow.
51, which included wins at the 1967 Greater Hartford Open and the 1969 Los Angeles Open. Once again, Charlie Sifford, the first Black star golfer on the PGA Tour, again with 51 top 10 finishes.
That is dope right there.
Yes.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit.
Okay.
It's not necessarily facts I'm gonna give. I just want to pay homage, a little tip of the cap to HBCU athletics.
Yes.
From an aspect in which we don't necessarily talk about a lot. We always talk about the general revenue, the revenue generating sports like football and basketball. We very little pay homage to those sports that exist, and to sports that a lot of people don't know necessarily that exist. Of course, HBCUs not only have football and basketball, they also have volleyball, tennis, bowling, where 2 HBCUs have actually won national championships in the past 10 years. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say 15 years. Maryland Eastern Shore has won 2 titles, one in 2008, one in 2011. North Carolina A&T, our alma mater, won one in 2014. Other sports that people don't necessarily know that exist on HBCU campuses, the lone program of swimming and diving at Howard University. Unfortunately, North Carolina A&T also had a program up until a couple of years ago, and I understand why they decided to remove it. But for Howard to have the lone HBCU swimming program in the country is dynamic, and they're still going strong. Of course, the golf programs and Howard, oddly enough, just had their program reinvigorated thanks to contributions from one Steph Curry, who's a huge golf enthusiast. Men's lacrosse, that started to become a huge thing back in 2014, if memory serves me correct, because Hampton introduced lacrosse to their sporting program that year, along with other institutions like Morehouse that has a lacrosse club. Florida A&M has a lacrosse club.
I know that.
UDC has a lacrosse team. Howard's Women has lacrosse as well. So there's several HBCUs out there that have lacrosse. Another sport that you wouldn't know necessarily that Delaware State, I think, also has lacrosse too. So speaking of Delaware State, they also have equestrian team up there at Del State. Yes. So they have their equestrian team. Hampton has sailing there in Hampton. What other sports? And then, of course, Florida A&M has a wrestling club there. So shout out to all of those revenue generating sports out there in the HBCU landscape, and also for the ones that are no longer in existence. At one point in time, A&T used to have a boxing team in the late 50s, mid 60s. Yeah. I thought that was pretty dope to see that too. So, like I said before, man, a tip of the hat to all of those HBCU sports that don't. Oh, and tennis. I did bring up tennis, but I want to go ahead and put some shine on Xavier out of Louisiana. The NAIA program, one of the most winningest programs on the NAIA level. No one talks about them the same way that I like to brag and boast about a lot of the football and, of course, A&T's men's track program, which is ranked number 5 in the nation this week. Xavier out of Louisiana, they have one of the most dominant tennis programs, men's and women's, on the NAIA level in the nation. So big ups to them, because they rarely get any talk about. But yeah, every time I turn around, they beating up on somebody, and they're always nationally ranked on that level. So shout out to all of those programs. And of course, happy birthday to one Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the 4th best player in NBA history.
Thank you. But my boys tried to troll me and a buddy of mine, another buddy of mine from college, that we're not Jordan believers. We don't drink the Kool-Aid like my boy does, who tried to troll us. I'm like, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would like a word about the GOAT conversation. I don't have a word about that. But my other boy, Jeremy, that's his name, he was like, Well, happy birthday to the 5th best player of all time is I. So I love it. I am all for trolling in reverse. So props to him. So let's kick out the random shit segment. I got a contribution to the random shit segment.
Okay.
So it's random shit segment of the show. Props to the San Diego Padres are managing to keep Fernando Tatis Jr. on a steal of a deal.
Oh, really?
14 years, $340 million. Now, people look at the figure, the total figure, $340 million. That's a lot of money, which it is.
Yeah.
But it's 14 years. So if you divide 14 into 340, you get $23, $24 million.
Oh, they did that with a mask and glove.
Yeah.
With a ski mask on.
Yeah.
My God.
They kept a superstar, a young superstar in Tatis Jr., essentially for less than $25 million a year.
Oh my God. They got away with one.
They did. And the Players Association are mad. The Players Association is mad. Superstars are mad. Because the Tavis are going to do, right? They're going to go, in every negotiation point, they're like, well, how good are you better than Fernando Tatis Jr.? You see what he got? You better than him? If he's like the best one of the up and coming players in the league, well, he's a superstar. He's averaging less than $25 million per year. I think Dwayne is frozen. You were so much in shock, your head is frozen. But what's frozen?
Because it was weird because you were frozen for a moment, and I'm like, okay.
But did you hear me talk? Did you hear me talk while I was frozen?
I didn't hear you at all.
Oh wow!
That's what made that weird. Yeah, so like you were frozen, and I'm like, okay, I can't hear what he's saying, and I don't know what to do. Yeah. Let me just stand right here for a moment.
Yeah. You're in a staring position. The damn Wi-Fi, I tell you. But
I did hear the part about Tatis and other players when they're looking for a new deal. Of course, they're going to be compared to Tatis and his contract. And most definitely, GMs do it all the time.
Yeah, most
definitely. Not scouts, but agents do it all the time. Hey, we're better than so and so. We deserve more money than so-and-so. Right. Or, hey, you're not better than so-and-so, so you deserve less money. And so, I can see how that's going to become a huge issue. But, yeah, you're right. The San Diego Padres did it ski mask way and stuck that dude up. I feel bad for him.
And they're low-key looking good. They low-key have a good
They are. They turned it around last year and became extremely competitive and made it to the playoffs last year. But, if they can continue to get better, watch out.
So what do you have any? That's my contribution to the random shit segment. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, a couple of things real quick. Okay. Of course, HBCU football starts up this weekend. With the SWAC. They kick off their season this year. I just find it very interesting that Alcorn State, who has opted out from this particular season due to COVID issues, it was announced today that the SWAC will penalize them by all of the games that they've decided to not play this year. They will count those as forfeits and will chalk those up as automatic wins for their opponents. So everybody in the SWAC already got a dub already. Damn. And to penalize them further, some of the games that they would have played on the road this year, I need to read the article more to find out exactly which ones they're going to be. But some of those games that they were supposed to play on the road this year, which would have in turn have been home games for them in the fall, are going to be road games. So that's just another way to penalize them. So all of this being done leads me to believe that the SWAC don't believe that Alcorn is not playing due to COVID reasons. Wow. Either that or the SWAC is just handling the situation extremely horribly because, talking with the MEAC and their commissioner, before teams decided to opt out, my question to him was, what would happen if teams started to opt out a little bit late due to COVID concerns? It's like, what are we supposed to do? They're concerned about COVID. There's nothing we can do. And I was like, okay, that's pretty big of them. SWAC thought differently, right? So with that said, big up to the Atlanta Braves because they will be doing what they have dubbed the Ralph Garr Bill Lucas HBCU Classic. And it's going to be a game. I forgot what the date is, but it's going to be a game between Grambling and Florida A&M this spring. And why those two teams and why this name? Bill Garr is an alum and great that used to play in at Grambling, and I think if memory serves me correctly, Garr used to play for the Atlanta Braves, and I'm thinking the same thing for Bill Lucas, who played at Florida A&M. Okay. So that's why this game is named after the two of them, and they would decide to go ahead and have a classic to have these two teams participate.
This is the Braves? This is the Braves doing this?
This is the Braves organization that's doing this. That's awesome. So shout outs to them. Matter of fact, let me see, because I think I had the date right here in front of me real quick. If I can find it in 5, 4, 3. They do not have a date. They just say it's going to be a 3-game series. Wait a minute. Let me see. 5.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, that is, let me see if I can find the date. Come on. Blah, 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 blah. But like I said, Garr is an alum of Grambling. Lucas is an alum of Florida A&M. And if memory serves me, both played with the Braves at one point in time. Mm-hmm. Yes, the series will take place March 12th, excuse me, through March 14th in Gwinnett, Georgia.
Okay, nice. That's a suburb of Atlanta for those who don't.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the sprawling suburbs of Atlanta. Okay, so I guess we can wrap it up. This was a great show, bro.
Yes, it was. Highly entertaining.
Yeah, enjoyed having our girl now, Janina Reed, on from RealzTenisFanz YouTube podcast, talk about all things tennis. But once again, thank y'all for tuning in to this podcast, the Klown Hour. Please, again, hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. I know I'm pointing to my left, but it's to my right of the screen. And just subscribe. It'll make me feel good, make my man feel good, and it'll make all of us feel good. As well as, please get the merch. CafePress.com. CafePress.com. Search for the Klown Tennis Sports. The address will be the web address will be in the description below. And please check out the Wayne Ash's good work on the yards at HBCU Sports, raps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Reddit every Tuesday now on Facebook Live. Also, HeroSports.com, where you see more of his great work. We raps about all things FCS sports as pertains to HBCUs. So in the meantime, take care, guys. Stay safe throughout the snowstorm. Prayers out to Dallas and we're all of Texas hit by the snowstorm. All those people out of power and all those pipes bursting, people dying. Please be careful. Pray for these people and pray for everybody else in the country affected by this snowstorm passing through tonight here in Cincinnati as well. And then probably the East Coast too.
It's coming our way tonight. Yes, sir.
Yeah, there you go. So please stay safe. And also, speaking of staying safe, I know that people won't be traveling because of the snow, but if you have to go outside, and I know they have COVID vaccines out there, stay your ass at home. If you can't do that, wear a mask. Don't be a Karen. Wear a damn mask. Keep everyone safe, not only yourself, but others safe. Wash your hands when you get back to the crib. And one last thing, please take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. Peace out.